afternoon, everybody. This is Chris Robinson, Rob Zedek Marketing with today's post-close graded livestock comments for Monday, the 23rd day of February. I am going to be sending out the daily letter in about probably about a half hour, 45 minutes. Just wanted to hit the highlights though for today. I'm going to start with talking about soybeans. Right, we came within 12 cents of the November high and spot the May month. We did finish lower on the day, however, down 3.5 cents at 11.49 and three quarters. The high though, 11.65. So we're getting a lot of movement there. We saw kind of a sideways to lower overnight market, and then boom, 7 o'clock. Somebody decided to get long. They bought a chunk of beans. Starting to see that. I'd watch that 7 o'clock time frame pretty closely as we head to the last half hour of the morning of the overnight trade. New crop beans finished up 2.25 cents at 11.17 and a quarter. Hit a high of 27 and a quarter. The that we're within a nickel of the high there at 11.30 that we had in November. Now, yeah, this is great. It's 2 month highs. We are a dollar 14 off the low. If you look, the low was a 10.55 and a half. We traded today at 11. What was the high tip? 11.27. So a great rally, right? We're right back up where we were before we collapsed. And in November we traded 11.31 and we slammed lower down to 10.55 and a half. Here we are back up here. So is it a second chance? Is it the start of a breakout? I don't know. But if you are growing beans and you don't use this to your advantage by either setting hedges or getting some sales done, I think you're making a mistake. In corn, new crop corn is very, very close to testing this trend line. Again, if you're not getting my letter, I do a lot of technical stuff. I keep it very simple, but long story short, there's a trend line up here that we're kind of dancing with here right now. Today's high was the highest price for new crop corn all year. We took out the January 12th USDA high, which was at 66 and a quarter. We traded as high as 67 and a half, but we only settled at 64 and a half. The highest trade we've had since Christmas time. So, something to take advantage of. I don't know. I'm not calling a top. I hope we keep going. That this feels this more short covering to me. I think we've had a massive amount of buying in soybeans, and we've had a pretty good short covering rally in wheat. I think maybe wheat, you can blame a little bit of this corn rally on the wheat. Wheat is anywhere from 65 to 75 cents off the deck, right? July Chicago traded 5.91 and a quarter today. KC July, excuse me, traded 5.96 and a half. We almost got a $6 print. So these are 7 month highs. We're back to where we were in July of 2025, right? As we were sliding down. Little did we know in July when we were trading 606 that we would bottom out down at 528. But the last time I checked, 585, that's where we settled today. Last week we did trade 602. So you're being given a great opportunity to do some hedges, make some sales. And again, if you need to make a sale, you are absolutely positively obligated, or you have the choice. You're not forced to, but you have the choice. If you sell into a 65 cent or 70 cent rally, make the cash sale, hold back 10 or 12 cents. You don't have to spend a fortune to stay long on paper for the next 2 or 3 months. It's a lot different than buying futures right after a sale, because at that point you're just, you're betting that you sold too soon. But with a call option, you have a defined risk the day you buy it, as long as you are long the option. And soybeans can go to the moon, soybeans can go into the basement, or anything. The market can go straight up, straight down. If you own that call after the sale, you're not going to get a margin call. So don't be afraid to make a sale. You can always re-own it with a cheap call. That's my bottom line. In the protein complex, lower across the board today, a 2-week low in fat cattle, a 3-week low in feeder cattle. It was a bullish cattle on feed report, and somewhere around 9 o'clock, just boom, we got some some sell pressure. At one point, March feeders were down at 361.70. They finished the day at 364.30. I think the fighting area is going to continue to be that 69 to 70 level in March feeders. Remember, we never got that gap up there at 75 in March feeders. That's my only thing that I'd be looking at if I was aggressively short here. That, are we going to have a day where we catch everybody short and then turn around up there and go fill that gap? April fat cattle traded as low as 238.20, settled $1 off that low, but still not the kind of action you really thought you'd see on a Monday after a friendly cattle and feed report. So there's a perfect example of how people that get too caught up either being solely fundamentals, in other words, just being only about whatever the cash trade is or whatever the Packers are paying or anything like that. A lot of this comes down to money flow and technicals, and that's why I think it's important to look at both things. That's what I try and do with my program is look at both things, try and give you a combination of both, as opposed to just falling in love with one idea and then looking for ways to justify it. So that's my comment here for today. Look for my letter. It's coming out. It's about 4:12 p.m. today. Right now, as I'm talking to you, that letter should be posted around 5 o'clock tonight. If you're not getting my letter, sign up for it. I do daily breakdown, key levels. We've got some interesting stuff going on in new crop corn and new crop beans here with these rallies. Certainly a really good rally in soybeans, something you really want to be taking advantage of. And again, rewarding a rally is not getting bearish. Don't DM me or send me an email saying, "Oh, you're bearish, bearish." I'm not. I do know this though. We're at the top of the last time where we collapsed at $1.20. And I think a lot of guys would have liked to have had some hedges or some sales before we collapsed. So since I don't have a crystal ball and I don't make a living kind of blowing smoke in people's face and telling them what they want to hear, I would make some sales and set some hedges. All right, guys, take care.